In this video demonstration, we're going to look at this Gluware state assessment feature. This was first introduced or productized in Gluware version 3.6. So this is the automated checking of the operational state. It's extremely useful for troubleshooting procedures, pre-checks and post-checks associated with operating system upgrades, and pre-checks and post-checks associated with configuration changes, as well as just operational assessments that may need to be performed. So you're going to be leveraging the power of Gluware in the automation orchestration engine along with the vendor adapter to automate the read of the state information. So essentially you're defining the show commands and the regex or regular expressions to capture information out and get that desired output, and Gluware is essentially converting that human readable CLI output into a machine readable data model, and then you're able to define any conditions or expected states to post-process that data that is captured, and then you can build a state assessment policy within the config modeling capability, which is made up of multiple states that you're looking to assess when you're executing it as part of, again, a troubleshooting, a pre-check, post-check, or operational assessment. So let's get on with the demo.
Where I define my features, I can also define what I'm calling a state. And I'm going to add a state. I'm going to, I can have multiple policies here. I can do a state when I'm performing an OS management or provisioning action, but I have one that I want to do on demand. I have one already cooked up here. And I can say, okay, this is what I want to run. So those are the state items that I'm gonna run. This is what I was in a PowerPoint presentation. You have multiple here. Let me show you what I'm doing in this particular policy. I have these 6 items that's gonna be launched against this particular box. So I'm going to launch this now. I want to make sure that we have time to show you everything. So here I'm going to launch an assessment of on this particular box. I'm launching this. Going to switch to the log view, and I'm going to show you, the data being extracted to the box. So the goal of node state assessment is to turn this human-friendly output into, structured data. Okay, and you can see I have a failure here. It is expected, and this is just to highlight something pretty important. Is that, and you can see all the data that's been extracted here, right? Some of the interface status, etc. The challenge is that, is it good enough? You want to do before, after. Well, you didn't know your box was already broken before you were about to push this BGP change. And then 15 minutes later, once you've done your change, someone's going to call you and say, hey, I can't access this application. What are you going to do? We're all human beings. We're going to blame the very last change that just occurred and took 2 hours before we're going to realize, oh, this is completely unrelated, because you didn't assess that the box had the neighbor, one of the neighbors down. That's exactly what happened here, is I have all this data here, but guess what? This particular one here is down. So what I was able to do, and again without coding, is I was able to apply a query to some of that data and say, I want, and I have the data, the query here, I want to make sure that within my peer section, BGP state is established. So I have a way to associate a query for every item that I am, launching against a device. And let's say I want to do a pre-post check when I'm doing a provisioning. You were, stating the example of sending a route and make sure that the route is there, etc. So you could absolutely do that. Plan for Gluware to deploy the routes that you want, and then go dig into the routing table and make sure that you have every single, route that you want, including the cost you're expecting. Because a typical thing is that you have a branch talking to 2 data centers. They're supposed to get the 2 sets of routes. And the failover didn't happen because you didn't know that it was not getting the second routes, the second set of routes from the second data center. So now you can assess that, and you can. We've integrated this so that you can use extensively also with config modeling for your rendering, for conditional rendering, your dynamic CLI, and all that.